A Seattle newspaper is standing by its decision not to publish photos of two men apparently of Middle Eastern descent who the FBI says were seen acting suspiciously on local ferries. The Seattle Post Intelligencer did the story but did not run the photos, citing civil liberty concerns. A competing newspaper and several television stations did show those photos. So far, though, the men have not been identified. Joining us now, terrorism expert Steve Emerson and civil rights attorney Leo Terrell. Thanks for being with us, both of you.
Hi.
And Steve, let's begin with the way this editor defended his decision. He wrote, quote, running a photograph of two men who may as easily be tourists from Texas as terrorists from the Mideast with a story that makes them out to be persons of interest in a terrorism investigation seems problematic. If everything any government authority handed us was automatically unquestioned news, we would be a state-run newspaper. Should the paper have run these photos that the FBI requested?
Well, I think they are certainly free not to run them, but I think responsibly they should have run them because these are people of interest that were acting suspiciously. They were not selected on the basis of their ethnicity, and because we live in an age of possible terrorism, and this is an area where there have been terrorists who've crossed the border, I think it would have been much more responsible for the newspaper to actually publish the photos and then have the men report to the FBI or local police and identify themselves.
Leo, some readers are very upset that these photos weren't published. One says the paper is, quote, part of Al-Qaeda's Seattle cell. Is there a responsibility for a paper like this to post pictures like these?
Absolutely not. I mean, we are to make an assumption that these men are suspects or possible terrorists. This is the boogeyman approach. Where's the probable cause? And as you pointed out, the press has to be an independent arm away from the government. Let's flip that over, Amy. Let's say the press is trying to search down a story and ask the police for information. The police is not going to hand over information to the press, so there has to be a separation. If we allow the FBI or any government agency to simply say, hey, print these photographs, trust us, believe us, where's the separation? Game over. Freedom of the press will be completely over if this newspaper print those photographs.
Steve, the day this story hit the newspapers, ironically, coincidentally, the Seattle Ferry, a Seattle Ferry, was evacuated because of a suspicious item. It turned out to be a device for smoking marijuana, clearly not terrorism related, but everyone was on edge because of this FBI bulletin and the pictures that were released. Do reports like this lead to false alarms, and is that a concern?
Look, there's no doubt that whenever there are reports of potential terrorist acts or of suspicious objects, people should be alert, and now the fact is that people were alert. That's why these two men were reported to authorities and to the captain, who took their picture because of their suspicious behavior in photographing some of the ferry's internal workings rather than photographing the tourist spots. I don't think, look, as far as what Leo says, I don't think that there should be a mandatory publication guideline here, but I think it would be responsible, and it's in the interest for the public to see the photos so that they can be reported to the police.
The problem here is simply this. Let's be very honest about this to the American public. They're Muslim, they're Middle Easterner. It's to scare every Muslim in this country is under attack ever since 9/11.
Oh,
American citizens. Oh, that's exactly what the problem is.
Leo,
That's exactly what the problem is.
Apparently, the FBI says these two men were snapping photos of the ferry, going to places where passengers would not typically go,
yes,
and they did this on 6 different ferry routes. What is the, I guess, abundance of information that needs to be passed on to the press to make it, or to warrant these photos being published in your opinion?
Amy, you didn't describe anything that gives rise to suspicious activity. They could be tourists. That's what the Post Intelligence, bravo to the editor of that newspaper. They could be tourists. If they were criminals, where's the charge? Where's the probable cause? Amy, all we're talking about is the government telling a newspaper, print photograph, trust us. That's not enough. As a lawyer, as a civil rights attorney, that is frightening to the American public. And I guarantee you, it's because they are non-white males. That's the reason why. It is simply a situation of racial profiling.
Leo, it's reverse.
Quickly, Steve.
Leo, it's reverse racial profiling. If these were white men, the photos would have been published because they look like Middle Eastern men. That's why the newspaper didn't publish them. In the same way, the newspapers did not publish the Danish cartoons. They did not want to offend Muslims in an age when the propensity of terrorist attacks is to be disproportionately carried out by Muslims.
All right, Steve Emerson, Leo Terrell, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.